Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Happy Monday, and we are in a brand new week of Raid, and as of recording this, there's actually yet to be an official announcement on the calendar as to what actually is going to be going on this week. All we know right now is that we're at the back end of the Fusion event. I'm going to talk about this a little bit here. We have Clan versus Clan, which is tomorrow, but it's not the personal rewards, so a lot of people aren't going to be going hard on that. And there's a little bit of a gap, right? Or maybe this is just time for you to sometimes they do this, right? Time for you to recoup your resources, to save your shards for the next big thing, and there are going to be some things happening. We know that based on the coalition event. There's some things to clear in there that hasn't happened yet. We're going to talk about some of that in today's video, and also, I guess, the end of the fusion as well. Now, before we get started with the rest of the video, I do want to remind people that if you haven't started a new account, alt account, whatever you like, use the QR code in the top right to get the legendary Orc Artak. You also can get the Epic Spheric and the Fat, Fenix and Cryota in the blue. Don't forget about Pelops the Victor, the legendary from the Argonite faction, and all you got to do is use the promo code RAID7 in the first 48 hours of a brand new account. Okay, so the fusion is ending, right? I do have my 4 epics here ready to go. I actually forgot that champion chase was ending today. I thought maybe I would be able to get a legendary book out of it by doing the fusion, because I was at 4,000 points and I needed 4,500 for that legendary book over here. But I did not. So what I'm probably going to be doing is summoning it during Clan versus Clan. That makes the next big sense. So if you haven't done it yet, if you haven't summoned yet, if you still have it in the portal, or whoever your fusion is going to be, maybe wait until tomorrow, because then you'll get some bonus points for that. As always, for champion objectives, you do get 10,000 for legendary, but if it's for the first time, you get 20k, so that's 30k. It's better than nothing, right? If you're not doing anything else for that. So as far as the fusion goes, I'm actually fusing Hagaba. And I know a lot of people are gonna like, boo, Boilon. So there's a couple of reasons. I mentioned this in my last video that there is gonna be, because I pulled Raya the Mourned, right? And that was super lucky of me, wherever she is on this list, right? Go by voids, of course. So we did pull Raya the Mourned. I actually forgot. This is a prism shard. Was it a prism shard or a void shard? I can't remember now. But I did end up pulling her. And so because of that, now I can get all of the Web of Corruption characters, and I can get that mythical relic, which I think is worthwhile for me. Click the wrong button there. So there is going to be, if you go to the events window, there is going to be a free Covetous Passion for those who do have Raya, and then you have to go ahead and, of course, have Telena. You need VARKOS, we're going to talk about in a minute here, and then the freebie, the login, Valorant, the Equalizer, and also that you need to have fused Hagaba. That's a small problem for most people, because I know a lot of people are not going to be summoning Hagaba, and that's totally okay, right? This is a very specific to me kind of situation. I think this is a very good relic, and I would like to have this on top of the other rewards that they're giving away as well. I think some mythical gemstones and things like that. So that's what I'm going to be doing. What am I going to be doing with Hagaba? That I'm not entirely sure. Obviously, she's really good for Bommel, although I don't necessarily have problems with Bommel that much anymore, but perhaps in Cursed City, right? I might get some value out of there. Dark Elves, Faction Crypts, not so sure if I need it. She has a neat kit, and who knows, maybe down the road, this might become more relevant. Who's to say, right? But for just now, I don't blame people for changing their champions to somebody else. I have a lot of them. I've pulled randomly a lot of the ones that I wanted, honestly. The only thing that I'm kind of missing here now, I would say, is Crocad. But I don't have Packmaster, and while you can use Crocad without Packmaster, I guess at some point I will have to choose one of them. And some of these winter characters are kind of neat, but I don't really need them, right? There's Noel, Sir Nick, Tormund. They're fun, but I don't necessarily need them. So for me, it would probably be Crocad. And then I guess it would be Morgaine. Just for that passive, literally just for this passive for Amius, and that would be the only reason. I've tried to pull her in previous progresses before, just because then I wouldn't have to do the fusion token thing. But yeah, that's about the only characters I probably want in my roster. I know, first world problems, I suppose, when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends. So I think there's going to be a bit of a gap, sort of, in here before the next fusion event. this week especially might be a good time until Friday. We'll talk about Friday because I think there's going to be some stuff coming up, even though the fusion of even though the calendar hasn't really updated yet. As of recording, I have this feeling that by the time I put this video out, there's going to be some stuff that's going to be, they're going to announce some stuff, or the creators are going to announce some stuff. This is where I'm at with my shards, though. So I have a lot of mystery shards. This is great for like the August fusion, or some people think it's going to be in 2 weeks, basically at the end of July, going into August. And this is quite a lot to bridge the gap for future summoning events. There is some ancient shards. I have this feeling that we're going to be utilizing these maybe in the upcoming, what I believe is to be a path event. We'll talk about that in a second. Void shards, primal shards, and sacred shards. We just had a 2x sacred shard, so this is stuff that I would just hold on to for future summoning events. Now, speaking of that, right, so the Corrupted Coalition event is still ongoing for another 2 weeks, which is when I believe they're going to jumpstart and kickstart the next fusion event. Right, this is going to end, and then the next fusion event is going to start. It's not going to be a traditional fusion again. They never do those back-to-back, so it's probably going to be a hybrid fusion event is my guess. Quest, though, you might have noticed that in here it does say get VARKOS Head Splitter, right? He's the only character that we don't have yet as far as having a guaranteed event. And I think this pretty much, it does pretty much guarantee, every time there's been one of these coalition events, we had one with the Assassin's Creed as well, they had all of the characters in there that had guaranteed events. So that VARKOS Head Splitter 100% is going to be getting a coalition event within 2 weeks. Now, I think it's more likely because they need to give some time, right, between his unlock event and, I guess, clearing the limited quest. So I don't think it's going to be in that last week before the coalition event ends. I think it is going to be probably this coming weekend. And there's a couple of things that I think is likely. I do want to pivot very quickly to this, which is an unofficial predictions calendar from my pal Bo's Gorilla. He keeps up with all things Raid Shadow Legends dates. He plugs them into spreadsheets and all this kind of stuff, and he keeps up with things where I don't always. And so I do trust his data. I do trust his information. Now, of course, it's unofficial, but I think it's likely that we're going to be getting a VARKOS Heroes Path this weekend. Okay, so where we're at is we've now had Hagaba's Souls in the champion chase, right? We had Hagaba's release, we've had Talena's release and her Red Star Souls. There's not a whole lot left, right? It's just VARKOS. It could very well be VARKOS plus Reds for VARKOS in the same path. I don't know. And then we have Raya's champion chase, which either could be a guaranteed event, right? Usually they do like a top one. They've done this in the past with characters such as Queen of Hearts from the Alice chase before. They did it with Shredder as well. So these things very well could happen. And I think we'll see what ends up happening. And then just before, there's going to be a patch at the end of the month with the hybrid fusion. Most likely, it could be a fragment, right? Who knows, right? It's not going to be a traditional, that much we know. So whether it's hybrid or whether it's fragment, I don't think it really matters. But didn't we just have we had two back-to-back fragment fusions? So I think that's probably why we're going to be having a hybrid. There's been too many fragment fusions lately. So VARKOS is Hero's Path, right? And so what does a Hero's Path typically involve? It usually involves, at a bare minimum, it involves character shards. So you're going to need to save some of this stuff. You actually get a lot more value out of an ancient shard, though, typically in a Hero's Path. And then sacred shards are worth like 4,500 points, I think. Something like this, right? Not 5,000. Is it 5,000? I think it's more like 4,500. But anyways, usually there's a bonus shard. And it's usually like ancient shards or primal shards that they normally give a little bit extra points than usual for these kinds of things. Now, they can be quite expensive, though, especially for a guaranteed event. So this is something that if you're interested in getting VARKOS, if you're interested in completing the collection of the Web of Corruption characters, then that's something that you want to make sure that you hold on to. I know there's not a lot of time between now and Friday necessarily, or till Monday when the event would end, but you have at least a week to kind of hold on to some extra shards if that's something that you're thinking about, and hopefully you didn't blow so much on the champion chase. That epic cost, wow, was pretty high. I think that 6,000 points for this last champion chase epic. That's definitely some data that we're gonna have to hold on to in case this ever happens again. So there's not a whole lot going on, though, most likely until that time, right? I think there's going to be a bit of a lull where we can kind of work on our own things, which is great. Work on your coalition event. There's some, if there's there's going to be a refresh here pretty soon. Maybe there might be Minotaur again. I don't know. We saw it once at the beginning. I don't know if we're going to see Minotaur again, or a non-item dungeon. I think Potion Keep sometimes qualify for that kind of stuff. I'm going to be working away on my live arena and finishing up some of this stuff. The Ascension of Artifacts and Accessories, I'm going to be doing this during Clan versus Clan. Tomorrow, the live arena, I need to do a lot more of. I really don't like live arena. And I might actually be able to get most of the Coalition event done. So I'm going to be pretty happy about that if that ends up happening. Not just because of the 5-star Basalt, which actually is quite valuable. Because if you think about it, that's like... Isn't one 5-star relic equivalent to like 4-star Basalt, something like that, right? So it is quite valuable in that sense. And so I do want to, and of course the mythical book, because I haven't quite finished booking out my Sabrail the Distant. I think I could still use a little bit more. 3 in her normal form and 2 more in her base form. I don't think or in the alt form. I don't think I really need those. These are for cooldowns. I don't, because she's mostly an arena tune. I don't think I need those, and so I picked up the damage ones because I do. I might actually do a video about Sabrail and how I use Sabrail. I know that's a less than 1% kind of people though, and I guess it would be nice to get the 1 point into the ignore risks since 20% there. So that's where I'm currently sitting at, and I'm just working away. Honestly, I'm just doing the stuff that we are doing right now. We have new rotations of a lot of things: Cursed City, Doom Tower, Grim Forest. There's a lot of other stuff to work on that takes screen time. So honestly, I'm kind of happy that there's going to be a little bit of a gap probably until Friday in terms of content, because it has been pretty stressful over the last little while. Of course, as fusions do. But this particular fusion event, you know, it did kind of run to the wire here towards the end, which I guess will be running until Tuesday for most of these events. The final ones, actually more, Wednesday, Thursday. Like this is running, Ice Golem tournament's still running for another 2 days, Wednesday, right? So that's when a lot of this stuff is going to be ending before we actually see more. So anyways, I'd be curious to know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below. How are your shards doing, right? Do you want to pick up VARKOS Head Splitter? I've heard some interesting things about him. You know, I actually kind of discounted him a little bit, to be honest, because I didn't really consider how powerful this ally assist thing would be, especially if you're using other Dark Elves. But the fact that, like, when he goes to attack, right, he does this. He does his A2, not his A1. Whenever the champion teams up with an ally, they use this skill and attacks 3 times instead of 2 times. So I think I really discounted, just because he does damage. You know, and he's pretty selfish, right? He's a self buffer. But I think I discounted essentially how much damage that he could actually put out. So I am kind of interested to see how his release is. I think Path is extremely likely. And if you're interested in VARKOS, start saving your shards for him. Or, right, we have the fusion in about 2 weeks' time as well. So depending on what you're interested in doing. Are you going to go for VARKOS Head Splitter, though? Do you need the DPS in Dark Elves? I'm not sure. I guess it would be pretty... My Dark Elves are pretty weak, I think. That's Xenomorph. But aside from that, I don't really have any solid nukers. I have a lot of support characters, actually, currently. So, yeah, I probably could use VARKOS in my team, especially in Faction Wars Hard and also in Cursed City related content, things like that, too. Anyways, yep. That's it for me, everyone. But before I go, do remind people that if you haven't started playing Raid yet, use that QR code and let me know. If you want to make a new account and you're having some troubles, feel free to DM me on Discord too, by the way, because I can easily set somebody up an account for that. So Artak, Varric the Vat, Fanax, and Cried in the blue, and also Pelops the Victor. Use the promo code RAID70 is the best legendary promo code starter in my opinion. His kit is very well rounded. That's it for me, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great Monday. And I'll see you all in the next one. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.